it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. If you've seen the title and the thumbnail of this video, you know that this is going to be my Magical Readathon TBR. I'm so very excited. I love the Magical Readathon. I look forward to the 2 semesters every single year. I've been participating in this for so many years, way before I started making videos about books. And it is time to have our 2nd semester this year. It's time to finish another year of my Archmage qualifications. I'm very excited. Normally I don't actually make a TBR, but this year I noticed that one of the prompts was to steal a book from another person's TBR, which is a prompt that I've actually had before and I love it. I think it's so fun. So I figured, well, you know, that kind of gives me a reason to make a TBR in case I'm reading a book that like someone else desperately wants to read and they can't find a way to fit it in. But also this year, I actually had a little bit of difficulty with some of the prompts. I actually can't even do one of them. I have a workaround, you will see, don't worry. Normally in the Magical Readathon, I actually decide what book I'm going to use for what prompt, like the week of. I'm just like, yeah, this works. Pull it in. But for this semester, I'm actually really limited in my choices and I only have like 1 or 2 books that can qualify for certain things. And I also have books that I've committed to reading in the month of September that I have to get done and they will only work for specific prompts. So for this semester, I actually do have a pretty set TBR, and so I thought I might as well share all of the books that I'm going to be reading this September for the Magical Readathon. First up, I have to read Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. Luckily for me, I also need to get an O in Artificery, which this semester we are studying birthstone properties. My birthstone, because I was born in March, is an aquamarine and it is blue. This is a blue cover. This is also the only prompt that this book qualifies for. Even though I have like 80 different blue books that I desperately want to read, I have to read this book, so it's going to fulfill that prompt. If you are unfamiliar, this is a novella that takes place between books 3 and 4 in the Stormlight Archives. In this, you follow a minor side character who is mentioned in some of the interludes. Her name is Ryson and she is a merchant and she is also disabled, and basically her pet is sick, and so she has designed this merchant trip in order to have an excuse to go back to like her pet's homeland and try to see if there's somebody where her pet originated from that can help heal the pet and make her better. This is a very quick read. I highly recommend the Stormlight Archives. I'm about to finish book 3 in the series and therefore I need to read this before I proceed to book 4. Next up, I want to talk about what I will be reading for my spells and incantation class. For this class, I actually need to reach a qualified level, which means that I have 2 spells and incantations to learn. The first being the Charm Dancing Stars, and for this I need a book that I predict will be 5 stars. And this is bringing me to the second book that I absolutely have to read. I don't have a choice. I have to read it in September. This is the only prompt that it will fit in. So here we go. I will be reading Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Rain Wild Chronicles and I'm so very excited. Robin Hobb is one of my favorite authors of all time. I love her books. I love her concepts. I love her character work. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what the synopsis of this book series is. It is the 4th series in the realm of the Elderlings. I don't know what it's about. I don't care. I'm gonna read it. I think that it's going to be 5 stars based off of all the other Robin Hobb books that I have read. I will tell you what this book is about when I get to it in my reading vlogs, which will be coming in September. And the second spell that I need for my spells and incantations qualification is the spell memory clip. For this, I need a book that has been shown somehow, some way in a video by G. This prompt is actually one that I have kind of the most free will about. There's actually several books that could fit to this prompt, and for that reason, I'm probably going to read it like last in the semester, because currently the book that I have chosen for this spell is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, it's not that I don't want to read this book. However, I only picked this book for this prompt because it's the shortest of all of the books that I own that I could put in here. And since we have a lot going on this semester, I have to read 8 books, but on top of that, I also want to work on the lore quest, which the last part of the lore quest that I have done is I completed the door on the cover prompt, which I don't want to say anything else about the quest because I don't want to like spoil people's decisions, but that is one that when you get to it, you don't have a choice. It's just one of the set prompts. So in order to kind of give myself more time with the lore quest, I decided to just pick the shortest of the books that I already own that I have seen somehow on G's channel. Honestly, I think there's probably more books that I own that she has shown in videos, but all I did was a cursory glance of thumbnails. I know that this is like an enemies to lovers, fae, human, like I'm pretty sure we follow a human named Jude and she gets like taken to the fae realm. I don't really know what like the actual plot is, but this is a very, very polarizing book and it's been on my TBR for at least 3 years. I got it clearanced, so we gotta get to it. We gotta get to it. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll hate it. I don't know. We'll find out. Next up, I also need a Q in inscription, and this is where we run into my first problem. For the first part of my inscription class, we are working on the art of the cipher. And for this, I need a book that has all of the letters of my first name in it. And it turns out J is actually a difficult letter to find in titles. Now, here's the thing. I have a massive amount of unread books on my physical TBR. So it's very possible that I like missed 1 or 2 here, but I swear to God, I could not find a single book on my physical TBR that has all of the letters of Jessica in it. Thankfully though, G has already provided a solution for me. She has put up the store and she has offered us scrolls that we can purchase. Now, I'm gonna be real honest with you all. I don't know how many reputation points I have, but I know that I have been doing this for years and years, and I've also completed the demonology quest, I completed the alchemy quest, I did last year's year of adventure in Eldia, and I also did the novice path like the very first time when she announced it. So I'm just gonna say that with everything involved, I have 250 guild reputation points. To be perfectly honest, I think I have probably closer to 400, but I don't want to go back and figure it out, so I'm just saying 250. And so I have decided to buy the scroll that lets me take my prompt for my class and replace it with any other prompt that I want. If you know me, hi, hello, my name is Jessica, and I love vampires. And wouldn't you know it, there's a class that you need to read a vampire book for. That's it, that's the prompt. Read a book about vampires. And wouldn't you know it, crazy timing, but my pre-order of Mistress of Lies by K.M. Wright came in. So I will be reading this. Here's the thing about this. I actually thought that this was going to be like murdering some vampires. I thought it was going to be like really dark fantasy because when this book was like first announced and first being published, it was marketed as like a dark fantasy. But I have since found out that it's actually a fantasy romance. That's not really a problem for me, but I am a little bit disappointed because I probably wouldn't have pre-ordered this if I knew it was going to be a fantasy romance. That's on me because I should have done more research. But here's the problem. I don't know what this book is about. I pre-ordered this book because I got excited about a dark fantasy book about vampires, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna risk it. I think this is a debut novel, and like, I just love vampires. Was part of the appeal this stunning, gorgeous cover? Yeah, like, what am I gonna lie? Like, no, of course, it's a beautiful book and it's about vampires. I wanted it, so I pre-ordered it. I will keep you updated when I get to it in the vlog. The second part of my inscription class is that I am studying ink pigmentation, which, like, honestly, the entire idea of the inscription class sounds like really, really fun. And this is where I actually had a bit of luck. So for this prompt, we spun a color wheel. I just Googled color wheel and I clicked it, and I was like, hopefully I get white or black, because I got a lot of books with white and black titles. That's what I'm supposed to find, a book where the title is in the color that the wheel gave me. And the wheel gave me orange. I screenshotted it. I will show you. And at first I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Orange? But as luck would have it, I have been dying to read The Bitter Twins by Jen Williams. This is the second book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy. I had originally picked this one for the birthstone properties before I realized that Dawn Shard wasn't going to fit in any of the other prompts, and now I still get to read it. This book has everything. It's got like mythical creatures, it's got these weird elven vampires, it's got witches, it has creepy alien bug attacks. Like, literally, what more could you want in a book? So I'm very, very excited to read the second book in this series. And then the last class that I need for this semester is alchemy, and this is the only class that I also need to get a distinguished level in, which means that I have 3 things that I have to do for this class. These alchemy prompts I actually think are so fun and creative. The first thing that I'm going to be learning is how to do chemical breakdowns. Fun fact about me as a real person and not my Aurelium character is that I loved chemistry lab when I took it in college. The class, kind of boring. The lab, so very, very fun. So the fact that I'm doing chemical breakdown, so very cool. So for this, I need to read a book that I anticipate will be emotional. And wouldn't you have it, I have The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is the 3rd book in the Bear Town series, which is a very emotional contemporary series about this very, very small town that lives and breathes and dies for hockey. But really what the series is about is just humans and the connections they build and the choices they make and why they make those choices, good, bad. It's just all about people. Frederick Bachman has an amazingly beautiful way of writing and speaking about just the human experience that, for me personally, really, really resonates. His books have made me cry in the past. Will this one? I don't know, but I do know for a fact that it will be emotional. And this is why I was looking at what is the shortest book that I've seen G have, because this is a chunky book. It's almost 700 pages. Not ideal for a readathon, and like a 700-page emotional book that might make me cry. Also not ideal for a readathon, because I know this is not going to be a fast read, but one of my goals for the year is to complete some of the series that I'm in the middle of, and this will help me accomplish that goal. Next up for my alchemy class, I'm going to learn component restoration, and for this, I need a book that was self-published and then got picked up and was traditionally published. And I am kind of like stretching this prompt a little bit, but G has always maintained that in this readathon, it's about the thought and the effort and us having fun. G has always maintained that you should make the prompts work for you. So for this one, I'm actually going to be reading The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. Technically, this book was not self-published, but the first book in this series was self-published and then was picked up for traditional publishing. So I am counting the series as a whole as originally self-published, and this is the second book in that. This is a dark academia series where you follow these 6 magicians and these magicians are recruited to join the Alexandrian Society. Basically, like, their job is to like safeguard and protect the Alexandrian library, which turns out was never burned down but was actually just hidden away. I really liked book 1. I gave it 4 stars, so I'm hoping that I will like book 2. Things ended in book 1 in a very, very interesting way, so I'm excited to see where things pick up with this book. And then the third part of my alchemy training for this semester is culinary transmutation, and for this, I need a book with food on the cover, and I will be reading The Familiar. And you may be like, well, where's the food? I don't know if you can see. I also don't know if it's like focusing because it's not like glossed over anything, but there's actually an embossed pomegranate on the naked hardcover of this book. I hope the camera's picking it up. It's like very, very faint to see, but that's food on the cover. So I will be reading The Familiar. This is a historical fantasy where you follow this, like, I believe scullery maid, and her boss finds out that she has magical powers and then tries to use her magical powers to like advance her own place within society. And that's all I know about it. This book has been described as gothic, and the setup sounds very interesting, and I love a gothic book. So this is Leigh Bardugo's last chance with me. I want to make it clear, I have never disliked a Leigh Bardugo book. I have never read one of her books and then been like, I hate this, I don't like it, I think it's bad. However, I have read 6 of her books, and I just always end up feeling like they're fine and they're just like not for me personally. There's just something missing that I have a really hard time connecting with in her books. If Leigh Bardugo is gonna get me with a book, this is going to be the one. And to be perfectly honest, I got FOMO when I saw Kitty buy this book, and I was like, well, I need that book also. So I did end up buying it. This will be me giving Leigh Bardugo her last chance with me, and I hope that I love this book. Like, genuinely, really, I hope that this blows me away. I hope it's 5 stars. I hope it's a new favorite, but this is what I will be reading for my alchemy class. Okay, there you go. Those are the 8 books that I will be reading in September for all of the classes that I need to complete this year of Archmage training. If you need to steal a book off of a TBR, I hope that one of these books has interested you, and feel free to magically yank it out of my backpack. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for spending time with me and hanging out. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and if you are also participating in the Magical Readathon, let me know what your calling is and what you're going to be reading in September. I hope you stay safe this week. I hope you stay cool, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye!